G'day guys, you've been listening to Heavy Magazine. I am joined by Mikey from the Gloom in the Corner. How are you, man?
I'm good, thank you, CJ. How are you?
I am fantastic, mate. Really appreciate your time today, dude. And it seems like you guys have been busy beavers.
We have
Oh,
been
well,
very busy.
well, let's just jump straight into it. So we're going to talk about obviously a lot of new releases that are coming up for you. But I recently saw that you guys just had a run of shows with Error and Diamond Construct. How did that run of shows go for you, man?
Yeah, no, they were really good. It was really surprising, especially for the Melbourne date because it was on a Tuesday. And not a lot of and we weren't it was kind of a weird one though at the same time where like we played at Stay Gold and usually there's like emo after parties and stuff like that at Stay Gold. So everybody just gets like obliterated at that venue because the drinks are really well priced.
Hmm.
And so it was really weird watching everybody go home at the end of the night being like, oh, it's 10:30. I gotta go home. I got work tomorrow at like 6 a.m. And
was it
everybody just it's
was it
just a mass
intentional?
exodus.
Was it intentional to have
Um,
it on a Tuesday, or?
I think it's just kind of how the cards fell. I think
Mm,
because like Era and like they just supported the plot and you as well. They
mm,
just had like a whole run of shows, and Jesse, Era's guitarist, did like his side solo stuff as well with Landon. They basically just tried to get as much done down here as they could because it's getting more and more expensive to come down here, unfortunately. So,
mm.
um, yeah, it's just kind of how the cards fell, I think. And that was probably one of the few dates that Stay Gold has available still as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, it was still really sick. Like the show sold out in like a week.
Yeah.
We were all kind of like, oh yeah, like because I think the plan was we were going to announce, or I think Dal's plan was announce Melbourne, and then kind of wait a couple of weeks and then announce Sydney, Brisbane, and
Mm.
it sold out within like a week. And they're like, oh, we should probably announce the other two shows.
And how does it feel? Because obviously you guys have been really growing and doing a lot of what you've been doing for a few years now. And obviously you guys have grown and built to it. So how does it feel now coming to the point where there are a lot of shows that are selling out? You're getting a bigger response, the more shows and the more releases that are going. How's it feel like a few years down the track from where you guys were to where you are now with it?
It's definitely a surreal feeling, and I think like getting those international support slots as well, like that's also like a huge thing because I think Fit was like the first proper international tour, so, like
Mm.
main support that we did. That was really cool, and same thing with Era. It's just really cool to get that, like start getting those opportunities after what feels like forever. Like we've really only kind of taken the band properly and seriously over the last like 3 or 4 years, I want to say. So since like Flesh and Bones area.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and it's cool to see that like all the hard work that we do put in is really paying off. However, where if anybody's ever seen us live, like we usually have really, really, really violent shows. What I have noticed is that everybody's starting to go towards like a push pitting side of things when it comes to
Right.
the fans. And I'm like, oh, I'm kind of missing that. With the exception of Melbourne, like we always have our Melbourne peeps pull up and it gets violent all the time. But
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
it was
mean,
weird in Brisbane and Sydney seeing like push pits. I'm like, oh, this is a change.
they're maturing. The fan base is maturing and growing older.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, to move forward, so there's a couple of things that are coming up in the very very near future for you guys. So obviously you've got your new single that is Pandora's Box, which is the last single you guys are dropping before you release your new album called Trinity. So
Yep.
Pandora's Box is out on October 10th. And that one is featuring a pretty big guest vocalist. So you've got Lauren Babic of Red Handed Denial, which is pretty awesome. And then you are obviously leading up to, as I said, your full album release, which is on October the 28th via Sharp Tone Records. So let's move back a step and let's focus on Pandora's Box. So, you guys have released a couple of singles leading up to this album. You've released two now. What's the difference with this one compared to the other two that you've dropped so far?
Three, everybody forgets Ronan.
Oh, Ronan, sorry. Yes, Ronan.
That's
Sorry,
okay.
sorry.
It's okay. Third live action video.
Yes, right, right.
That's okay. Um, yeah, no, it's been really cool. Like the cycle has been really weird. So originally Ronan was meant to be the release day video.
Mm,
But just again, how the cards fell, how we could get Colin in to do all the video work and everything, we kind of had to push Ronan up and forward. So we were kind of scared on how it was going to go, because like we're like, okay, we know it's going to get traction because of the signing to Sharptone. Like that kind of announcement always generates quite a bit of hype. But it was an animated video.
Yeah.
And we're like we're a very big concept driven band, so like having the animation and everything behind it is, you know, it makes sense. Like it's like a comic book pretty much, but we're also like, ooh, how well are people going to grasp this kind of thing? And a lot of people have. It's like the big thing that I've taken away from these last 3 singles that have come out has been everybody talking about the lore and getting in depth into the lore, which we on a level that we haven't actually seen before. Like it's everybody is talking about it, and like every time somebody does like a reaction video, there's always somebody in the comments being like, go back and listen to the old releases and like deep dive into the lore, because it's really good and really like thick, for lack of chaotic.
Have you had fan fiction yet?
Not yet. It terrifies me. I imagine there probably is, but like I just haven't found it.
Oh, the day you do, I'm sure we'll do another interview and we'll go.
Oh, right. It terrifies me, but I'm also really interested to see what people come up with.
Oh, knowing where some fan fiction can go, it'll be curious to see what it will be if there is.
Oh yeah.
It'll be interesting, man. So yeah, obviously, Pandora's Box out October 10th. What can we expect from this one?
So this one's like we like to call it the radio single. Pardon me. It is very much more like a sing-alongy and anthemy kind of song.
Yeah.
Kind of in the same vein as New Order, but like a lot more down like that radio route, I'd say. Right. That being said, like there's still heavy sections and stuff like that in it, but it's just very much more, I guess. I mean, yeah, radio is very much like the best way to put it, which is interesting because we haven't really done a song like that before. It was more so just like, oh, we want to test the waters and see how it kind of goes, that kind of thing. And it's like we played it live in Melbourne and Brisbane, and people were pretty responsive to it. So it seems like that people are like taking it on and enjoying it.
Yeah.
At least from what we could see.
Yeah, so, exactly. Hey, it's always a good thing when you get that positive response. You're like, okay, we're doing shit right still. We're going okay.
Yeah, it's like, oh, cool. People are still moving and stuff like that. They're not just switching off.
Yeah, awesome, man. Which also is I've got to ask about having Lauren involved. How did that come about?
So our manager, Tuck from Fit for a King, he is very well connected. Sounds weird saying very well connected. It makes him sound like a mafia boss.
How do you do this on the day of my
How do you do this? I mean, he is from Brooklyn, so
yeah. Well,
but,
there you go.
But yeah, no, so like he knew Lauren from like just the touring circuit over there. And he hit her up. He was actually the one that pushed for that guest vocalist. He's like, I really want you guys to get Lauren because I think she's a really good guest vocalist to get on the record. And it's funny because I knew her from all the Crazy 88 stuff that she did with Jared Alonji.
Yeah.
And I didn't know about Red Handed Denial really until Tuck told me. So I feel really bad. But no, she's got an incredible voice, and so he managed to put us two together, and that's kind of how it came about. That's how it came about for a lot of like the bigger guest vocalists as well on the record. Was a lot of it was Tuck.
Yeah, that was my next question. Was like, obviously, if people haven't seen that, you guys have got quite a wide array of guest performers that are on this album. Again, like it. Obviously, having Tuck push it to you guys, but was it a decision before then to try and get a few guests on there as well, or is that kind of
we pretty much came to him with a wish list of like guest vocalists, and there was a couple that we didn't get. Sorry, pardon me, I'm still a little bit sick. There was a couple that we
I'm the same, man.
There was a couple that we didn't get. Which was fine because it was way so astronomically out of our league. Like, I'm pretty sure I asked for Greg Picuscio from the Dillinger Escape Plan. I'm also put it into to see like how far can I push this just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like pretty much like all of them he managed to get. Like Rio, Joe was another one. and Lauren was another one, and then I think there may have been, oh yeah, Kirby as well. Because I was like, okay, well, can we get Kirby? Like, you're in a band with him, and that was the easiest one. He's kind of just poked him with a stick and was like, please do this.
Come on.
Come on, man, do this.
Yeah, right. And how was it working with these people? Obviously, it's been lined up, but then when it actually came to the time of getting them in there, how did that all go down for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, Tuck pretty much played middleman between us, so it was kind of like we'd just send him everything. We'd do like all that kind of thing and send it to Tuck, and then he'd forward it on. But I do have a really funny story about Joe's one.
Sure, go for it.
So we got most of the record done, I think, earlier this year. Like all the guest vocalists and stuff like that finalized earlier this year. So we got Joe's part back in December or January, I think, from memory. And we were on two of them in July. And the first night we were in Adelaide, we'd kind of made friends with them at that point, and we're like talking to Joe, and I'm like, oh yeah, we should just play the end of Hail to the King and get you up for your part. And he's like, what? And I'm like, the guest vocal spot that you did for us. And he's like, this is kind of like blank faced me for like a couple of seconds. And he's like, oh, that guest vocal spot was for you guys. So what had happened apparently was Tuck, because the song's like 8 minutes long. Tuck sent him the last like 2 minutes, which was Joe's part, and then sent him like all the files and everything which were needed, and then didn't tell him who the band was. and he's like, I had no idea. He didn't tell me who the band was. He's like, can you do this guest vocal spot? We'll pay you money, yada yada yada. And he got it done, and he sent it back, and he was like, oh, this is so wholesome, because now like we're touring together, and it's like come full circle and everything and all that. And I'm like, oh my God. So yeah.
Hey, it happens, man. When information slips through the cracks, dude, you know, it happens, man. But I'm glad he knew. And did he end up actually jumping up on stage for it?
No, we didn't end up doing it, unfortunately. I would have liked to have done it, but yeah, it just, the set didn't really kind of cater for it. So, but it would have been cool.
Hopefully there'll be a point in the future where you guys can do that for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. I hope so too.
100%. Well, yeah, and then obviously leading up to the album that we've been talking about, October 28th. So you can get your pre-orders and your pre-saves for all of that. So yeah, that's looking really awesome. Is there anything else you would like to touch on for Trinity at all?
Ooh, is there anything else I can touch on? Not really. Pre-ordered the vinyl. Put me in my place.
Yeah. Backhand.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really it, man. Oh, that's awesome, dude. Well, I did want to end this interview here, but before I do, there's always one question I end my interviews on, and it's an interesting question because there's always so many different answers I get to it, and it's so many different reasons. But the one question I want to ask you before we leave this interview today is there one show that you would go back and relive playing for whatever reason, and why? What show would it be?
Look, really, I've got two.
Okay.
I want to see our first show ever, and I can go watch most of our first show ever on YouTube.
Right.
So I guess that kind of takes it out, but more so just from an audience thing, just to see how far we've progressed. But the one that I really want to see again would be Unify 2020, the Thursday night, because that was when everything hit the fan. And like the mixing desk died right before we went on stage, and we got pushed back by like half an hour, 35 minutes. So we're all just kind of standing there twiddling our thumbs on stage.
Oh no.
And like for anybody who doesn't know or who hasn't heard this story, like Nick was sound checking drums and people were moshing, waiting for us. Like we had chants for us and stuff like that. It was really, really surreal and really cool. And then like, I think when we actually did start playing, Nick's kicks slipped out from under him, so he couldn't play the drums properly. So it's also just, I want to watch the train wreck plus like just the atmosphere of that show. It would be really cool to watch. Again.
Awesome, man. That's a good answer. I like that one. So, Mikey, mate, is there anything else you want to mention to the fans quickly before we wrap this one up?
No, I think we've pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, easy, man. All right. Well, look, I really appreciate your time. Go get your pre-saves in. Obviously, I'm going to retouch on this again. Plug. Pandora's Box is out October 10th, which is leading up to their full-length release Trinity, which is out everywhere on October 8th via Sharptone Records. Mikey, thank you so much for your time today, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Not a worry, mate. And until then, guys, stay heavy because you've been listening to Heavy Magazine. Thanks, guys.